Hello, everyone. We have learned about expressions, relational expressions, logical expression, and we know that relational expressions and logical expressions, they give us either true or false value based on the evaluation, right? So if the expression is true, so you will get 1. If the expression is false, you will get 0. So where do we use expressions? These expressions, relational expression or logical expression. So we use them for decision making, right? For selection statements or for repetition statements, right? So in selection statement, we use if-else statements, right? So there are variants of if-else statements. We have if statements, we have if else statement, we have if else if statements, right? So let's start with if statement. So the syntax of if statement is you have this keyword if, and inside parenthesis, you will write an expression. If this expression is true, then whatever you have kept inside a pair of curly braces, those statements will be executed. For example, if this expression is true, then inside the pair of curly braces, you have statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, right? So these statements will be executed. If the expression is false, then these statements will not be executed. So let's understand this through an example. Let's say we have to write a program that will compute weekly salary of an employee based on the working hours and salary per hour. The employee usually works for 40 hours every week, but sometimes the hours exceed 40 hours. If the employee works for extra hours, then for each extra hour, 1.5 times of the regular salary per hour is paid to the employee. So your program should ask hourly salary and extra hours that the employee works for in the week from the user and then compute the employee's total salary. So here we will use this if statements and we will use that to compute the extra hours salary, the bonus salary. If the employee has worked more than 40 hours, then we'll basically ask, we will compute the bonus salary using the if statement. So here, to compute the total salary, what we need to ask from the user, we need to ask the hourly salary and the extra hours. Extra hours means that how many extra hours that the employee has worked beyond 40 hours. So we'll ask these two information. So we need to declare certain variables. So let's say this is the skeleton program. So we need to first ask from the user how many extra hours that the employee has worked other than 40 hours, normal 40 hours. So for that, we will declare a variable extra hours, which we will ask from the user. The normal hours will be 40 hours and then extra hours. Right? Then you have hourly salary could be a decimal point. So we can use hourly salary. And then we can use a variable bonus and we can initialize it with 0 because if the staff has not worked, if the staff has not performed extra hours work, then the bonus will be 0. And if the staff has worked more than 40 hours, then he or she will get the bonus, right? So that's why we have kept bonus 0. And then we should have a variable, total salary variable, that will compute the 40 hours salary plus the bonus salary that will store. So from the user, we'll ask enter hourly salary. And then we'll store that into this variable. And then we will ask enter extra hours. So the extra hours that the user will enter could be 0 or could be 1, could be 10. Extra hours. And then, so you have asked the hourly salary, then you have asked the extra hours. So now here you have to compute the bonus salary. The bonus salary will be 0 if the employee has just worked for 40 hours in the week. But if the employee has worked for extra hours, which is greater than 0, then you have to compute the bonus salary, right? So here we will write if extra hours greater than 0, then we'll compute the bonus salary. So here, the bonus salary that you will write is extra hours times 1.5 times hourly salary. This will be the new bonus value. So we have initialized the bonus value with 0. And if the extra working hours more than 0, then we will compute the bonus. Now here we will compute the salary. So the employee works for 40 hours. So we have to normally, the employee works for 40 hours. So 40 hours we'll multiply with hourly salary, and then we will add the bonus salary. And then we can display that total salary is so here, this is our program, which will compute the total salary, and it will consider that the employee works for 40 hours per week, and sometimes the employee works for more than 40 hours. So for that, we give the employee bonus salary. So here you can see that these things you are aware of, that these are interactive input from the user. So we ask the hourly salary from the user. We ask the extra hours from the user. And if, so here is the new thing that we are learning here. So this is called an if statement. So here we have an expression, right? And this expression will give us either 0 or 1 based on the result. So if user has entered like 10 for extra hours, so 10 will be compared with 0 for greater than relationship, and 10 is greater than 0. So then this will give you basically 1, true. And if it is true, then this statement will be executed. But if user has entered 0 for extra hours, so 0 greater than 0, which is basically false, so then this statement will not be executed. And then once we have the bonus, right? So then total salary is computed here, and then we are displaying it. So let's run this program. So hourly salary, let's say $60, and extra hour, let's say 10 hours the employee has worked as extra hours. So basically the employee has worked 40 hours normally, and for the 40 hour, the salary is 60 times 40, and then extra hour, the salary will be 10 times 1.5 times extra hourly salary plus the normal 40 hours salary. So here, if I display this, the total salary is 3,300. Why? Because the employee has worked 40 hours with the salary of $60 per hour. So that is 2,400. Plus, for the extra 10 hours, his salary will be 10 times 1.5 times 60, which is basically 900. So 2400 plus 900 is 3300. So that's if statement, right? So here we can also display this. Bonus salary so that you can see the computation. And then here you can put for that regular salary 40 times hourly salary. So then it will basically make it easy to visualize that how the total salary is computed. Now here you see that in the if statement, we have two statements. So these two statements will execute only when this condition is true, right? So if extra r is 0, for example, then these two statements will not be executed because 0 greater than 0, which is false. But if extra r's more than 0, then this condition will be true, and then you will see these two statements will be executed. So let's run this program again. Enter salary $60 per hour and extra hour, let's say we put 0. So then we have only regular salary, right? We have only regular salary and total salary is then 2400 because there is no extra hours. So regular salary is 60 times 40 hours. So then it will give you 2400 and total salary is 2400 because there is no bonus. Now let's run this. So let's say the salary, hourly salary is 60 and extra hours 10. So 10 hours extra work. So now your regular salary is 2400, 60 times 40, and then bonus salary is 900, and then total salary is 3300. Okay. So one more important thing, when programmers they make mistake, they put a semicolon here. So when you put a semicolon, what happens that so your program basically thinks that if this condition is true, so we have no statements to execute, right? So it will be like that. So basically, your program will become like that. So if you have put if extra hours greater than 0, if this condition is true, so this blank statement will be executed. So this thing that you are seeing here, it will not be part of this if statement. So you can run this example and we can verify that. Let's say here, if we do this, and again, we do the same input. Let's say hourly salary is 60 and the employee has worked for 10 hours. So the salary is, no, so there is some, I guess, some mistake here. Okay, so yeah, anyhow, so this is basically, yeah, so this is fine. So here what happens that we are computing basically, let's say we put here extra hours greater than 0. So this part is executed, and then this part is also executed because it is not part of else system. Now we run this program again. So this case, for this case, basically, this is not making sense because if the user will give 0 extra hours, so this part will be false, but even this part will be executed, right? So here, the point is that don't put any semicolon after basically, after this parenthesis, okay? Otherwise, what will happen that whatever you have after that, that will be executed whether the condition is true or false. Okay. So to avoid that situation, don't put a semicolon after that. Don't put a semicolon. So don't put a semicolon. After the parenthesis. Okay. So yeah, so that's if statement.